What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome back to another episode of The Drop, the weekly series where I bring you news about the hottest games coming out across the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Switch, whatever they might be coming out on. We will talk about it right here, and this week we have some pretty awesome games coming out on top of a Destiny 2 expansion that was almost going to be the headliner just because of how massive it actually is. So we'll talk about all of this and more right now. To kick things off this week, we have Destiny 2 Forsaken coming to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC. The Reef has fallen to lawlessness, and now the most wanted criminals in the galaxy, the Barons and Uldren Soy, have organized a jailbreak at the Prison of Elders. You and Cayde 6 have been sent in to bring law and order back to an embattled facility, but things don't go according to plan. Facing insurmountable odds, Cayde 6 ends up paying the ultimate price. Beyond the Vanguard's authority, you'll venture into the Reef alone and take justice into your own hands. Explore new regions, awaken new powers, earn a wealth of new weapons, and uncover lost, awoken secrets. The hunt is on. For those that don't know what's going on with Destiny 2, it's been quite a roller coaster over the course of the past year or so, because when the game first came out, it was well received, but then people kind of got over that honeymoon phase and they realized that it wasn't nearly all that it was cracked up to be. So then the developers began to kind of backpedal and make the game better and make small improvements here and there, and eventually we got to the spring whenever Warmind came out, and that really kind of solidified in people's minds the fact that Destiny 2 did have a chance to come back, and now Forsaken is essentially the beginning of year 2 of Destiny 2, which means that it's pretty much a brand new start for the devs, a brand new start for the community, and there's a lot to love with Forsaken. Of course, on top of more armor and weapons to grind within Destiny 2, you also get the added bonus of having a story that people legitimately care about. Of course, Cayde 6 does die in the expansion, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the trailers or heard anybody talking, and so that kind of gives you a reason to play. It keeps people invested into the world, whereas the original vanilla base game didn't really do that well. So if you want to jump back into Destiny 2, or if you want to try it out for the first time, now is the perfect opportunity to do so whenever Forsaken launches later on this week, again coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, or the PC. And again, I will remind you, the base game is free right now for PlayStation Plus. Pretty good little deal there. Next up, we have Marvel's SpiderMan coming out on the PlayStation 4. Marvel's SpiderMan features your favorite web slinger and a story unlike any before it. Now a seasoned superhero, Peter Parker has been busy keeping crime off the streets as Spider-Man. Just as he's ready to focus on life as Peter, a new villain threatens New York City. Faced with overwhelming odds and higher stakes, Spider-Man must rise up and be greater. So for those that might be new to the channel or might not know how I buy games, I don't really buy things on day one. The last game that I got on day one was God of War. I was totally satisfied with that purchase, but 9 times out of 10, whenever a game is coming out, I'll wait for it to drop down to 40 bucks before I go in, maybe even lower than that. However, with Spider-Man this week, I am going to have to get this one on day one because the combat looks so fluid, the game looks so beautiful, even with the supposedly downgraded puddles that people are pointing out on social media. But on top of that, I'm just a big fan of Spider-Man. Of course, Spider-Man is coming to us from the guys over at Insomniac Games, most notably famous for games like Spyro the Dragon and Ratchet & Clank and the Resistance series, but on top of that, also Sunset Overdrive, a game whose movement system can clearly be seen within Spider-Man, so it's clear that this game is kind of a culmination of the lessons that they've learned in the past. Whenever I get asked about this new Spider-Man game, I always say, do you remember Spider-Man 2, the game that came out back on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, I believe, and GameCube, if I remember correctly, and how it fleshed out the world within New York City. It really made it feel like a living, breathing metropolis. That is exactly what has been transitioning over the course of the past few years into Marvel's Spider-Man developed by Insomniac Games. This is what that world created, but on steroids. It looks absolutely fantastic. So if you want to dive into the world of Spider-Man thanks to Insomniac Games, you can check out Marvel's Spider-Man, which is coming out on the PlayStation 4 later on this week, and I know that I will definitely be slinging around New York City this weekend. Cannot wait for that. And last but not least, for our notable releases this week, we have NBA Live 19 coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. NBA Live 19 redefines the way you play a basketball game. Real player motion and 1v1 everywhere gives you control in every possession, providing you the ability to change momentum in any game and dominate your opponent. Pursue basketball glory with the freedom to create your path in the league and the streets in the return of the One. No longer a solo affair. Build your squad of superstars, legends, and cultural icons to join your quest of greatness on courts across the globe. And now we've got a couple of bullet points. The Rise. Define your story as you start from high school and progress to legend status on courts in the league and the streets. Increase your stock in performance-driven challenges and learn mechanics from iconic players as you rise to stardom. Relive your best and worst moments moments through modern highlights as notable basketball influencers and celebrities mark your achievements on the court, sharing the excitement and disappointments through your career reflected by your peers, top streamers/influencers, notable media outlets, and ESPN personalities. The League, live your NBA dream with an authentic solo career experience. Get drafted and learn what it's like to be an NBA prospect, facing challenges and opportunities as you choose your destiny. And finally, you have the Streets. Venture beyond the League and into the streets where the rules and how you earn respect are different. Play solo, multiplayer, or co-op experiences in some of the most storied courts and venues in the world. I'm not really that big of a sports fan to begin with, but especially with basketball, I'm just not really that into it. However, when it comes to video games, I always love to see the rivalry between NBA 2K and NBA Live because they've always been going head to head, and NBA Live has traditionally and constantly been the underdog in that matchup. And so I love to see how they compete with each other, the improvements that each game makes, and it's going to be very interesting to compare this week's game with NBA Live 19 to next week's game, which is NBA 2K19. It always blows my mind. So if you want to check out the first part of this matchup, you can try out NBA Live 19 this week when it comes out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And that wraps it up for this episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to drop me a like down below and leave a comment letting me know what you think about this week's lineup. Will you be playing Spider-Man? Are you going to be jumping into NBA Live 19? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel, I do upload new stuff throughout the week, so there's always something new right here when you do stop by to watch some videos. But as for right now, I appreciate you guys for watching this particular video. I will talk to you soon. Peace.